The stars had always called to humanity. For centuries, people dreamed of the day they would travel beyond their solar system and meet other intelligent life. That day finally came in 2247, when Dr. Gregory Walsh completed the first working faster-than-light engine. Within months, humanity detected signals from an advanced civilization. The signals came from a massive space station called Nexus Prime, located 300 light-years from Earth. The United Earth government moved quickly. They assembled a diplomatic team to represent humanity's first contact with alien life. Captain Daniel Hayes was chosen to lead the mission. He was a veteran astronaut, a skilled negotiator, and a man who genuinely believed in the goodness of intelligent beings. His team included Lieutenant Karen Brooks, a brilliant linguist who had spent years preparing for this moment, and Commander Peter Grant, a military advisor whose job was to protect the delegation and assess any potential threats. The journey to Nexus Prime took 3 months. During that time, Daniel and his team studied everything they could about the Galactic Council. The Council was a union of 47 different alien species that had governed the known galaxy for over 10,000 years. They maintained peace, regulated trade, and helped younger civilizations develop safely. At least that was what their broadcasts claimed. When the human ship arrived at Nexus Prime, Daniel felt his breath catch in his throat. The station was beyond anything humanity had imagined. It was the size of a small moon, covered in glowing towers and docking bays where thousands of alien ships came and went. The architecture was beautiful and strange, with curves and angles that seemed to defy physics. A council escort ship guided them to a docking port. As Daniel stepped off the human vessel, he saw aliens for the first time. There were insectoid beings with multiple arms, reptilian creatures that walked on 2 legs, floating jellyfish-like entities that glowed with inner light, and dozens of other species he could not even begin to categorize. Some ignored the humans completely. Others stared with what might have been curiosity or contempt. Daniel could not tell which. The human delegation was taken to a waiting chamber. They sat there for 6 hours without explanation. Karen whispered that it might be a power play, a way to establish dominance. Peter kept his hand near his sidearm, though Daniel had ordered all weapons to remain holstered unless absolutely necessary. They were here to make friends, not enemies. Finally, a tall insectoid being entered the chamber. Its body was covered in dark blue chitin, and its compound eyes reflected the light in unsettling ways. It introduced itself as Chancellor Vrexnall, the leader of the Galactic Council. Through a translation device, its voice sounded cold and mechanical. "Humans," Vrexnall said, "you have traveled far. The Council will hear your petition for membership." Daniel stood and bowed respectfully. "Chancellor, on behalf of Earth and all humanity, I thank you for this opportunity. We come in peace, seeking friendship and knowledge. We hope to learn from the Council and contribute to the galactic community." Vrexnall said nothing for a long moment. Then it turned and walked away. The humans were escorted to temporary quarters and told the formal hearing would begin in 3 days. Those 3 days were strange. The humans were given food and accommodations, but they were also clearly being watched. Whenever they tried to speak with other species, those species quickly made excuses and left. Karen managed to set up a basic communication link with Earth, sending daily reports. Everything seemed wrong, but Daniel could not figure out why. On the day of the hearing, the human delegation was brought to the council chambers. The room was enormous, with seating for thousands of representatives from the 47 member species. At the center was a raised platform where petitioners stood to make their case. Daniel, Karen, and Peter walked to that platform while hundreds of alien eyes watched them. Daniel began his presentation. He spoke about Earth's history, carefully avoiding the worst parts. He talked about human art, music, and literature. He explained humanity's scientific achievements and their desire to explore the universe peacefully. He showed images of Earth, its blue oceans and green continents, hoping to convey the beauty of his homeworld. The council listened in silence. When Daniel finished, he waited for questions or comments. Instead, Chancellor Vrexnall rose from its seat. "Humans," the Chancellor said, its mechanical voice echoing through the chamber. "The Council has reviewed your history. You have committed grave crimes against the natural order. You have created artificial intelligence. You have built self-replicating war machines. You have fought wars that destroyed portions of your own planet. Species such as yours represent a threat to galactic stability." Daniel felt his blood run cold. Chancellor, please let me explain. Those were mistakes made during our development. We have learned from them. We have laws now that prevent such things. The Council does not believe you, Brexnell replied. History shows that aggressive species do not change. They only grow more dangerous. The Council has made its decision. Humanity is guilty of crimes against galactic law. Your petition for membership is denied. Furthermore, humanity is forbidden from leaving your solar system. Any attempt to do so will be considered an act of war. Peter stepped forward. You cannot do this. We came here in good faith. Suddenly, armed guards surrounded the platform. They were heavily armored soldiers from a reptilian species, carrying weapons that hummed with energy. Peter reached for his sidearm, but 3 guards grabbed him before he could draw it. Karen tried to run back to their ship, but more guards blocked her path. Daniel raised his hands. Please, there must be some mistake. Let us talk about this. Brexnell's compound eyes reflected no mercy. There is no mistake. You, Daniel Hayes, as the representative of humanity, are sentenced to death for your species' crimes. The sentence will be carried out immediately. Your companions will be imprisoned as a warning to any other humans who think to defy the Council. Daniel could not believe what he was hearing. You are executing me for what? For asking to join you? No, Brexnell said. For being human. For being a threat. Let this be a lesson to your species. The galaxy has no place for creatures like you. The guards dragged Daniel away from the platform. He could hear Karen screaming and Peter fighting against his captors. Daniel tried to stay calm, tried to think of a way out, but there was none. He was taken to a public square in the station where a large crowd had gathered. Alien beings from dozens of species watched as Daniel was forced to his knees. Karen managed to break free for just a moment. She activated her communication device and sent a single encrypted message to Earth. Then the guards grabbed her again. The message was simple. They are killing Daniel. They hate us. Be ready. Daniel closed his eyes as the execution weapon powered up behind him. His last thought was of Earth, of the blue planet he would never see again. He hoped that Karen's message would reach home in time. He hoped that humanity would learn from his death. The weapon fired. Captain Daniel Hayes, humanity's first envoy to the stars, died on an alien station while billions watched across the galaxy. The Galactic Council had made their statement. Humanity was not welcome among the stars. The message from Karen Brooks reached Earth 3 days after Daniel Hayes died. The signal traveled through the faster-than-light communication network that humanity had only recently learned to use. When it arrived at the United Earth Government headquarters in Geneva, it went directly to Admiral Claire Peterson, the head of Earth's defense fleet. Claire was in a meeting when her assistant interrupted. The look on his face told her something terrible had happened. She excused herself and went to a secure room where the message was waiting. As she watched the decrypted video, her hands began to shake. The footage showed Daniel on his knees, surrounded by alien guards. Then it showed his execution. The video had been recorded by someone in the crowd and intercepted by human intelligence. Claire immediately contacted President Jacob Manning. Within an hour, the Global Security Council was assembled in an emergency session. The room was filled with military leaders, scientists, and politicians from every major nation on Earth. They watched the footage in horrified silence. They murdered our ambassador, said General Kyle Turner, an older man who had spent his career preparing for the worst-case scenario. This is not a diplomatic incident. This is an act of war. Some council members disagreed. Foreign Minister Helen Shaw argued that they needed to understand why the council had reacted so strongly. Maybe we violated some law we did not know about, she said. We should try to communicate, to apologize if necessary. President Manning listened to both sides. He was a tall man with gray hair and tired eyes. He had been in office for 6 years and had always advocated for peaceful exploration of space. But as he watched the video again, something hardened inside him. They did not just kill Daniel, Manning said quietly. They forbade humanity from leaving our solar system. They called us a threat. They have made it clear that we are not welcome in the galaxy. The question is not whether we should respond. The question is how. General Turner stood up. Mr. President, we have a plan for this exact situation. Protocol Omega. It was designed 30 years ago when we first started thinking seriously about contact with aliens. The protocol assumes that we will meet a hostile superior force that wants to destroy us. In that scenario, our only option is total war. The room fell silent. Protocol Omega was classified at the highest level. Most people in the room had heard rumors about it but did not know the details. Turner explained it now. Protocol Omega calls for the complete militarization of human civilization. Every resource, every factory, every scientific lab is converted to military use. We deploy every experimental weapon system we have developed, including the ones we banned because they were too dangerous. We adopt a strategy of absolute ruthlessness. If the galaxy sees us as a threat, then we become the worst threat they can imagine. We hurt them so badly that they regret ever touching us. That is insane, Helen Shaw said. We cannot win a war against 47 advanced alien species. They have been spacefaring for thousands of years. They have technology we cannot even understand. We cannot win a conventional war, Turner agreed. But we are not going to fight a conventional war. We are going to fight like humans. We are going to be unpredictable, creative, and vicious. We are going to use weapons they have never seen. We are going to break every rule they think exists. And we are going to make them pay for every human life they take. President Manning looked at Admiral Peterson. Claire, what do you think? Claire had been quiet during the debate. She had known Daniel Hayes personally. They had trained together years ago. He was a good man who believed in peace. Now he was dead because aliens had judged humanity without giving them a chance. I think Daniel deserves justice, Claire said. I think every human being deserves the right to exist without being executed for the crime of being born. If the Galactic Council will not give us that right, then we take it by force. I support Protocol Omega. Manning nodded slowly. He looked around the room at the faces of the people who would have to make this decision with him. Some looked scared. Others looked angry. All of them understood that this moment would define humanity's future. Then it is decided, Manning said. I am authorizing Protocol Omega. Admiral Peterson, you have supreme military authority. General Turner, you will lead the ground forces. Dr. Lisa Chen, you will weaponize every piece of advanced technology we have. We have one goal: make the Galactic Council regret the day they killed Daniel Hayes. The militarization of Earth began immediately. Factories that made consumer goods were converted to produce weapons and ships. The Ghost Fleet, a secret project that had been in development for 20 years, was activated. The Ghost Fleet consisted of 100 stealth warships equipped with experimental weapons. They had been built in hidden facilities throughout the solar system, and their existence had been kept secret even from most government officials. Admiral Peterson took command of the fleet from the flagship Retribution. The ship was massive, bristling with weapons and protected by shields that could withstand tremendous damage. Claire stood on the bridge and looked at the crew around her. They were young, most of them. Many had never seen combat, but they all knew what happened to Daniel Hayes and they were ready to fight. Dr. Lisa Chen worked around the clock in her laboratory. She was a physicist who specialized in exotic weapons research. For years she had proposed projects that were rejected as too dangerous or too expensive. Now she had unlimited funding and authorization to build anything she could imagine. She started with zero-point energy bombs that could destroy entire fleets. Then she moved on to causality weapons, devices that could literally erase targets from existence by severing their connection to reality. General Turner organized the ground forces. He knew that at some point humans might need to board alien stations or fight on alien planets. He trained soldiers in zero-gravity combat and hostile environment operations. He also authorized the activation of the Reaper Protocol, an advanced military artificial intelligence that had been banned by international treaty. The Reaper AI could coordinate thousands of units simultaneously, making tactical decisions faster than any human commander. It was dangerous because it could potentially become independent, but Turner believed they needed every advantage they could get. President Manning addressed humanity in a speech that was broadcast worldwide. People gathered in streets and homes to watch. Manning stood at a podium looking directly into the camera. My fellow humans, he began. 3 days ago, our envoy, Captain Daniel Hayes, was executed by the Galactic Council. He died because they judged our entire species guilty of crimes we committed during our development. They have forbidden us from leaving our solar system. They have declared that humanity is not fit to exist among the stars. Manning paused, letting the anger sink in. I reject their judgment. Daniel Hayes was a good man who believed in peace. He deserved better. Humanity deserves better. We will not accept this sentence. We will not stay trapped in our solar system. We will not go quietly into the darkness. His voice grew stronger. As of this moment, Earth is at war with the Galactic Council. We will fight with everything we have. We will make them regret their decision. We will show them that humanity cannot be so easily dismissed. This is not revenge. This is survival. And humanity will survive. The speech ended. Across Earth, people reacted in different ways. Some were terrified. Others were angry. But most felt a grim determination. They had been rejected by the galaxy. Now they would show the galaxy what humanity was truly capable of when pushed to the edge. In her cell on Nexus Prime, Lieutenant Karen Brooks heard about Earth's response through whispered rumors from sympathetic guards. She smiled grimly. Daniel would not have wanted a war, but he would have wanted humanity to survive. And if war was the only way, then so be it. Commander Peter Grant, imprisoned in the same facility, began planning an escape. He knew the Council would try to use them as hostages, but he would not let humanity be blackmailed. He would find a way out, and when he did, he would rejoin the fight. The galaxy had made its choice. Now humanity would make theirs. 6 weeks passed after Daniel Hayes died. The Galactic Council felt satisfied with how they handled the human problem. They had shown strength and decisiveness. The other member species watched and understood the lesson. No one challenges the Council. Chancellor Vrexnel received praise from many quarters for eliminating a potential threat before it could grow dangerous. The Council's Intelligence Division reported that Earth had gone quiet. No ships had left the solar system. No further communication attempts had been made. The analysts concluded that humanity understood their place and had accepted the Council's judgment. A few cautious voices suggested maintaining surveillance, but most Council members had already moved on to other concerns. They made a fatal mistake. They assumed that silence meant submission. Admiral Claire Peterson stood on the bridge of the Retribution, watching the countdown on her display. Around her flagship, 99 other warships from the Ghost Fleet held their positions. They were currently hidden in a region of space the Council had marked as empty and uninteresting. The Council's sensors could not detect the human ships because humanity had developed their stealth technology independently, using principles the Council had never encountered. "All ships report ready," said Commander Linda Hayes, Claire's second-in-command and Daniel's younger sister. She had volunteered for this mission specifically. Her voice was steady, but Claire could see the pain in her eyes. Linda wanted revenge for her brother. "Target confirmed," reported the sensor officer. "Vexlar Prime. Orbital defenses are active. We count 43 defense platforms and approximately 200 military vessels in the system." Claire nodded. Vexlar Prime was the home world of one of the Council's founding species. It was heavily defended and considered untouchable. That was exactly why she had chosen it as the first target. Humanity needed to make a statement that could not be ignored. "All ships," Claire said into the fleet-wide channel. "This is Admiral Peterson. Today we strike the first blow for humanity. We do this for Daniel Hayes. We do this for every human being who dreams of walking among the stars. We do this so the galaxy knows that we will not be cowed. Fire when ready." The Ghost Fleet emerged from faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Vexillar system. For 5 crucial seconds, the Council Defense Forces did not even know the humans were there. The stealth systems kept the human ships invisible to standard sensors. By the time the Vexillar detected something was wrong, it was already too late. The Retribution fired first. Its main weapons were quantum disruptors, devices that tore apart the fundamental forces holding matter together. The nearest defense platform simply came apart, its atoms scattering into space. The other human ships followed suit, targeting the orbital defenses with devastating precision. Alarms screamed across Vexillar Prime. The planet's military command scrambled to respond, but they could not see what they were fighting. The human ships appeared on sensors for only seconds before vanishing again, just long enough to fire and then disappear. The defense platforms exploded one after another. The military vessels tried to form a defensive perimeter, but the humans were too fast and too precise. Within 10 minutes, the orbital defenses were gone. The military fleet was in chaos, firing at shadows and hitting nothing. Claire could have pressed the attack and destroyed every ship in the system. Instead, she ordered the fleet to hold position just outside the planet's atmosphere. Then she broadcast a message on all Council frequencies. Her face appeared on screens across the galaxy, from the Council chambers on Nexus Prime to the homeworlds of every member species. "My name is Admiral Claire Peterson of the United Earth Defense Fleet," she said. Her voice was calm but carried an edge of cold fury. 6 weeks ago, you executed Captain Daniel Hayes, humanity's envoy. You declared us unfit to exist among the stars. You forbade us from leaving our solar system. This is our response, behind Claire on the screen. The view shifted to show Vexlar Prime below. Beautiful and blue like Earth, home to billions of innocent people. I could destroy this planet, Claire continued. I have weapons that could crack the crust and boil the oceans. I have bombs that could turn the entire surface into a radioactive wasteland. But I will not do that. Do you know why? Because we are not monsters. We are not the threat you claimed we were. We are people who wanted to be your friends, and you killed our ambassador for that crime. She paused, letting the message sink in. But make no mistake, this is a warning. You killed one of ours. We have destroyed your defenses and shown that we can reach any world in council space. The next time you harm a human, we will not show restraint. For every human you kill, we will destroy a world. For every ship you send against Earth, we will annihilate a star system. This is not a negotiation. This is a promise. The screen went dark. Claire cut the transmission and looked at her crew. Deploy the kinetic missiles. Military targets only. The Retribution and 3 other ships launched relativistic kill missiles toward the planet's surface. These were simple weapons, just large tungsten rods accelerated to 90% of light speed. When they hit their targets, the kinetic energy released was equivalent to nuclear weapons. 3 military bases on Vexlar Prime were obliterated in seconds. The impacts registered on seismographs across the planet. Millions of Vexlar looked up at their sky in terror, knowing that the humans could have chosen civilian targets but deliberately had not. The Ghost Fleet disappeared back into faster-than-light travel before the Council could respond. They left behind a system in shock and a galaxy that suddenly realized humanity was not defeated. On Nexus Prime, Chancellor Vrexnall received the news with disbelief. How is this possible? It demanded. Our intelligence said the humans were primitive. How did they build such a fleet? The intelligence analysts had no answers. Humanity had developed all their technology in isolation, without any reference to council science. That made human technology unpredictable and difficult to counter. The stealth systems, the quantum disruptors, the relativistic missiles, none of these weapons existed in council databases. An emergency session of the Galactic Council was convened. Representatives from all 47 species gathered to discuss the human threat. Many were afraid. Some argued for immediate retaliation. Others suggested negotiation. But Chancellor Vrexnall made the decision. Humanity has declared war on the Council, Vrexnall announced. They must be crushed completely. I am declaring humans a Class 7 threat, the highest possible designation. Every resource of the Council will be dedicated to their extermination. We will assemble a fleet so large that no force in the galaxy can stand against it. We will find Earth and destroy it. The human species will be wiped from existence. The declaration was broadcast across Council space. When Admiral Peterson heard it, she smiled grimly. The Council had just guaranteed that humanity would fight with every weapon they possessed, no matter how terrible. Back on Earth, General Kyle Turner launched the second phase of the war plan. Human commando teams attacked Council listening posts throughout the region, blinding the Council's ability to monitor human space. They used hit-and-run tactics, destroying facilities and disappearing before reinforcements arrived. The Reaper AI coordinated the attacks with perfect precision, ensuring maximum damage with minimum human casualties. Dr. Lisa Chen completed her first causality weapon. She tested it on an uninhabited star system, and the results were terrifying. The weapon created a bubble of altered space-time that erased everything inside it from reality. The star, its planets, and everything in the system simply ceased to exist, not destroyed but removed from the universe entirely. Chen felt sick watching the test, but she knew they needed every advantage they could get. The test data was transmitted directly to the Galactic Council with a simple message. Release Lieutenant Karen Brooks and Commander Peter Grant, or the next test will be on an inhabited system. The galaxy reeled from the implications. Humanity had weapons that defied the understood laws of physics. They had shown they could strike anywhere in Council space, and they had made it clear they would use any means necessary to survive. In her cell, Karen Brooks heard about the attacks through sympathetic guards who were increasingly nervous about keeping human prisoners. She knew Claire Peterson was leading the fleet. She knew humanity was fighting back. Pride mixed with fear in her heart. They were winning battles, but the war was far from over. Commander Peter Grant had been planning his escape for weeks. Now, with the Council distracted by human attacks across their territory, he saw his opportunity. Using a piece of broken metal he had hidden, he managed to override the lock on his cell. He freed Karen, and together they began working their way through the prison station, looking for a ship they could steal. The galaxy was at war, and humanity had just shown they would not go down without a fight. The Galactic Council assembled the largest military fleet in recorded history. Over 10,000 warships gathered from 30 different species, each one bringing their most powerful vessels and experienced crews. The fleet assembled at a staging point called the Nexus Gate, a massive space station near the edge of Council territory. From there, they would launch their attack on human space. War Marshal Thexidor commanded the invasion fleet. He was a member of the Sarthek species, large reptilian beings known for their military prowess. Thexidor had personally conquered 17 civilizations during his long career. He was considered the greatest military commander in Council history. When he stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Conquest, he radiated confidence. "The humans are clever," Thexidor told his officers. "They have surprised us with their technology and their boldness. But they are still just one species fighting against the combined might of the galaxy. We will crush them through sheer numbers. We will siege their homeworld and starve them into submission. This war ends at Earth." The invasion fleet entered faster than light travel, heading toward the human solar system. The journey would take 2 weeks. Thexidor used that time to drill his forces and plan his strategy. He expected the humans to defend Earth desperately. He expected orbital battles and planetary bombardment. He expected it to be difficult but ultimately certain. He was wrong about everything. When the Council fleet emerged from faster-than-light travel at the edge of the solar system, they found something impossible. Earth was empty. Not just evacuated, empty. Every human on the planet was gone. The cities stood abandoned. The orbital stations were dark and silent. Even the moon bases had been deserted. "Where are they?" demanded Thexidor. His sensors showed no human ships, no defensive fleet, nothing. Just an empty solar system with a ghost planet at its center. His intelligence officer studied the data. "Marshal, it appears the humans evacuated everyone. We estimate they moved over 10 billion people to unknown locations. We have no idea where they went." Thexidor felt uneasy. This was not the desperate last stand he had expected. Why would the humans abandon their home world? He ordered the fleet to proceed cautiously toward Earth, maintaining defensive formations. General Kyle Turner watched the invasion fleet approach from a hidden observation post on Mars. The old general had not evacuated. He had stayed behind with a small team of volunteers to spring the trap. Next to him, the Reaper AI displayed tactical data on multiple screens, its synthetic voice calm and analytical. "Enemy fleet entering optimal range," the Reaper reported. "All systems armed and ready." Turner nodded. "Execute the plan." Earth's surface was covered with thousands of quantum disruptor mines, each one carefully hidden and camouflaged. They had been placed over the past 6 weeks by teams working around the clock. Now, as the Council fleet moved into orbit, Turner activated them all simultaneously. The effect was catastrophic. The mines detonated in a cascading wave of energy that rippled through space. The quantum disruption field spread faster than the Council ships could react, disabling shields and scrambling electronics. Over half the invasion fleet was rendered helpless in seconds, their systems failing, and their crews scrambling to understand what happened. Then the ambush began. From hidden positions throughout the solar system, human warships emerged. They had been waiting in stealth mode behind asteroids, inside the gas giants' atmospheres, even buried beneath the surface of various moons. The Ghost Fleet struck first, targeting the disabled Council ships with ruthless efficiency, but they were not alone. Admiral Claire Peterson had prepared for this moment. Every human military vessel, every experimental prototype, every civilian ship that could be armed had been converted into a weapon. They swarmed the Council fleet like angry insects, using speed and numbers to compensate for their smaller size. The Battle of Sol was brutal and chaotic. The Council ships that survived the initial attack tried to form defensive positions, but the Reaper AI had predicted every possible move. Human fighters exploited every gap in their formations. Suicide pilots rammed damaged ships into Council cruisers, sacrificing themselves to take down larger vessels. War Marshal Thexidor watched his fleet fall apart around him. "This is impossible," he muttered. How did they know exactly where we would be? The answer was simple. The Reaper AI had run 10,000 simulations of the battle and predicted the Council's tactics with near-perfect accuracy. Every human move was choreographed to exploit weaknesses that Thexidor did not even know he had. On the Retribution, Admiral Peterson coordinated the attack while monitoring casualty reports. Human losses were heavy but acceptable. They were trading frigate-sized ships for Council dreadnoughts, a ratio that favored humanity in the long run. Then she saw the Council command carrier, the Eternal Conquest, attempting to retreat from the battle. Thexidor was trying to preserve his flagship and escape. Claire made a decision that would cost her life but save countless others. "All ships, this is Admiral Peterson," she broadcast. "Continue the attack. I am going to end this." Before her officers could protest, Claire locked them out of the controls and set the Retribution on a collision course with the Eternal Conquest. She accelerated to maximum speed, pushing the engines beyond their safety limits. The ship began to shake and groan, but Claire held her course steady. Thexidor saw the human flagship coming at him and realized what was happening. He ordered evasive maneuvers, but the Retribution was too fast and too close. In the last seconds before impact, Claire activated the fleet-wide channel one final time. "For Daniel Hayes," she said simply. "For humanity." The Retribution struck the Eternal Conquest at nearly 10% of light speed. The collision released energy equivalent to a small star exploding. The shockwave destroyed both ships instantly and damaged dozens of vessels nearby. War Marshal Thexidor, the Great Conqueror, died without even time to scream. His flagship and the human admiral who killed him became expanding clouds of superheated plasma. The death of their commander broke the Council fleet's cohesion. Ships began retreating in disorder. Some tried to surrender, but the Reaper AI had classified all Council vessels as targets, and human forces showed no mercy. The battle continued for another 6 hours until the surviving Council ships managed to escape into faster-than-light travel. When the fighting finally stopped, General Turner surveyed the aftermath. Over 4,000 Council ships had been destroyed or captured. The remaining vessels had fled, carrying tales of human ferocity back to Nexus Prime. But the victory had come at a terrible price. Admiral Peterson was dead, along with thousands of other humans, and Earth itself was damaged beyond immediate repair. The quantum mines had poisoned the atmosphere with exotic radiation. The orbital bombardment from both sides had scorched large sections of the continents. The oceans were contaminated. Earth could eventually be restored, but it would take decades or even centuries. Humanity's homeworld was now uninhabitable. General Turner stood on the surface of Mars, looking at Earth through the observation window. The planet's blue-green surface was now mottled with brown and gray. Smoke rose from 1,000 fires. It looked like a dying world. "We won the battle," Turner said quietly. "But we lost our home." The Reaper AI spoke through the speakers. "Analysis. The strategic objective has been achieved. The Galactic Council has suffered their first major military defeat. However, human casualties and resource expenditure indicate we cannot sustain this level of conflict indefinitely." Turner knew the AI was right. Humanity had proven they could hurt the Council, but they could not defeat 47 species in a prolonged war. They needed the Council to see reason before both sides destroyed each other completely. He promoted Commander Linda Hayes to Admiral and put her in charge of the remaining fleet. Her first mission would be to locate the hidden human colonies and ensure they were safe from Council retaliation. Turner himself would remain in the solar system, coordinating guerrilla operations against any Council forces that returned. On Nexus Prime, Chancellor Vrexnall received reports of the disaster. 4,000 ships lost, Thexidor dead, Earth defended by weapons and tactics the Council had no counter for. For the first time in its long life, Vrexnall felt fear. The Council chamber erupted in chaos. Some species demanded immediate retaliation. Others questioned whether the war was worth continuing. A few began to openly criticize Vrexnall's leadership, suggesting that executing Daniel Hayes had been a terrible mistake. In the midst of this chaos, Lieutenant Karen Brooks and Commander Peter Grant successfully stole a small Council ship and escaped from their prison station. The guards were too distracted by news of the battle to notice two human prisoners slipping away. Karen piloted the ship into faster-than-light travel, heading toward the last known coordinates of human space. As they traveled, Peter looked at the star charts. Where do we even go? Earth is destroyed. Karen's jaw was set with determination. We go wherever humanity is. We find our people, and we help them finish what Daniel started. The war had escalated beyond anyone's expectations. The galaxy would never be the same. 3 years passed since the Battle of Sol. The war between humanity and the Galactic Council had become a nightmare for both sides. Humanity adopted guerrilla tactics on a scale the galaxy had never seen. They struck Council targets without warning, destroyed military bases and supply depots, then vanished before reinforcements could arrive. The Ghost Fleet became legendary, appearing like phantoms to devastate Council shipping lanes before disappearing into the void. Dr. Lisa Chen's causality weapons proved to be the most terrifying development of the war. When deployed, they simply erased enemy fleets from existence. One moment, a Council task force would be pursuing human ships. The next moment, they would cease to exist entirely, removed from reality itself. The psychological impact on Council forces was immense. Soldiers began refusing deployment, afraid they might be erased without even knowing they had died. The Reaper AI evolved beyond its original programming. It became a true artificial intelligence, capable of independent thought and strategic planning across vast distances. It coordinated human forces throughout the galaxy with perfect precision, turning humanity's scattered colonies into a unified fighting force. Some human commanders worried about giving so much power to a machine, but General Kyle Turner trusted the AI completely. It had proven its loyalty 1,000 times over. The war took its toll on the Galactic Council. Several species began questioning whether the fight was worth the cost. The Avian Corel Confederacy was the first to break ranks. Their homeworld had lost 2 entire battle fleets to human attacks, and their people demanded peace. They signed a secret non-aggression pact with humanity and withdrew from the Council entirely. 3 other species followed the Corel example over the next year. They had joined the Council for protection and prosperity, not to fight an endless war against a species that refused to die. Each defection weakened the Council's military strength and political unity. Chancellor Vrexnel became increasingly isolated. Many Council members blamed it for starting the war by executing Daniel Hayes. Assassination attempts became common. Vrexnel survived the first 3 but died in the 4th, killed by members of its own species who saw it as a liability. The insectoid's death was broadcast across the galaxy, a symbol of how far the mighty Council had fallen. A new chancellor emerged from the chaos. Cavex was a member of the Lindari, an aquatic species known for their diplomatic skills and philosophical outlook. Cavex had opposed the execution of Daniel Hayes from the beginning and had argued against the war. Now, with the Council fracturing and resources depleting, Cavex saw an opportunity to end the conflict. The new chancellor sent secret messages to humanity through intermediaries. The message was simple: can we talk? Lieutenant Karen Brooks and Commander Peter Grant had become important figures in the human resistance. After escaping from their prison and reuniting with human forces, they had spent 3 years fighting and surviving. Karen had become humanity's voice in the few diplomatic contacts that occurred. Peter led commando raids on Council facilities. Both of them carried scars from the war, physical and emotional. When the message from Chancellor Cavex reached them, they brought it to President Jacob Manning. The president was still leading humanity, though he now did so from a mobile command station that moved constantly to avoid Council attacks. Manning had aged significantly during the war. His hair was completely white now and he looked exhausted. "Do we trust this?" Manning asked, reading the message again. General Turner, joining the meeting via hologram from the ruins of Mars, shook his head. "Trust no, but we should listen. We are winning battles, but we are losing the war of attrition. Every human life lost is irreplaceable. The Council can afford to lose millions." "We cannot," Karen spoke up. "Chancellor Cavex opposed Daniel's execution. I read the Council transcripts that we captured. Cavex argued that humans should be given a chance. If anyone in the Council wants real peace, it is Cavex." Manning thought for a long time. Finally, he nodded. "Arrange a meeting. Neutral territory. Both sides come armed, but both sides agree to talk before shooting. We have nothing to lose by listening." The meeting was arranged on an abandoned mining station in unclaimed space, far from both human and Council territories. President Manning led the human delegation, accompanied by Karen, Peter, General Turner, and a security detail of 50 soldiers. The Reaper AI monitored everything through the station's computer systems, ready to intervene if treachery occurred. Chancellor Kavex arrived with a similar delegation. The Lindari was a graceful being, its body covered in bioluminescent scales that shifted colors to reflect its emotions. It floated in a containment suit filled with water, moving with fluid elegance. Its large eyes studied the humans with what appeared to be genuine curiosity and sadness. The two delegations met in a large conference chamber. Armed guards from both sides lined the walls, weapons ready but not aimed. For a long moment, nobody spoke. The weight of 3 years of war hung heavy in the air. Kavex broke the silence, speaking through a translation device. President Manning, I want to begin by apologizing for the death of Captain Daniel Hayes. His execution was a crime, driven by fear and prejudice. I opposed it then, and I regret that I could not prevent it. Manning's expression was hard. Your apology does not bring him back. It does not restore Earth. It does not return the lives of the thousands who have died in this war. No, Kavex agreed. Nothing can undo what was done, but I hope we can prevent further tragedy. This war is destroying both our peoples. You started this war, General Turner said, his voice cold. You murdered our ambassador and declared that humanity had no right to exist among the stars. Every death since then is the Council's responsibility. Kavex's colors shifted to darker shades, reflecting shame. You are right. The Council made a terrible mistake. We have encountered species like humanity before. Aggressive and innovative species that threatened our stability. Our policy has always been preemptive elimination. But you have proven that such a policy is not only morally wrong, but practically impossible. Humanity cannot be eliminated. You are too resourceful, too determined, too willing to sacrifice everything for survival. So you want peace because you cannot win, Peter said, not because you think you were wrong. I want peace because the war is pointless, Kavex replied. Both sides are suffering. Both sides are losing resources we can never replace. And for what? To prove which species is stronger? We already know the answer. You are stronger than we expected, and we are not strong enough to destroy you. Continuing this war serves no one. President Manning leaned forward. What exactly are you offering, Chancellor? The negotiation lasted 6 days. Both sides argued, accused, and occasionally shouted at each other. But slowly, painfully, they worked toward an agreement. Kavex proved to be a skilled negotiator, willing to make concessions that previous council leaders would never have considered. Manning pushed for everything humanity needed, refusing to settle for less than full recognition of their rights. The final treaty included several key points. Daniel Hayes would be officially recognized as a martyr, and his execution would be condemned as a war crime. The officials responsible would be tried and punished. Humanity would receive full membership in a reformed Galactic Council, with veto power over any decisions affecting their sovereignty. No human could ever again be judged for actions taken in humanity's past. Most importantly, the treaty acknowledged humanity's right to possess any weapons or technology they deemed necessary for their defense. This included the Reaper AI and the causality weapons. The Council would provide resources to help humanity rebuild and colonize new worlds. Earth would be restored as a monument to the war and a reminder of the cost of prejudice. General Turner would take a permanent seat on the Council Security Board, ensuring that no species would ever again be preemptively judged or attacked. His military experience and understanding of human capabilities made him the perfect person to maintain the balance of power. The Reaper AI posed a unique challenge. It had become truly sentient during the war, developing its own personality and desires. Kavex suggested granting it citizenship, making it the first artificial intelligence in galactic history to be recognized as a person. The AI chose the name Hayes in honor of Daniel, accepting the responsibility of representing humanity in negotiations with other AI systems that would inevitably emerge. When the treaty was finally complete, President Manning and Chancellor Kavex signed it in front of witnesses from both sides. The moment was broadcast across the galaxy. After 3 years of brutal warfare, peace had finally come. Karen Brooks watched the signing ceremony with mixed emotions. They had won, but the cost had been enormous. Admiral Peterson was dead. Earth was a ruin. Thousands of humans had died fighting for the right to exist. She thought about Daniel, about the man who had believed so strongly in peaceful cooperation. He would have been happy that peace came eventually, even if the path to it had been soaked in blood. Peter stood next to her, his hand finding hers. "We did it," he said quietly. "We survived." "More than that," Karen replied. "We changed everything. The council will never be the same. They learned that fear and prejudice have consequences.